Hello, this is me, Max the Technomancer, here playtesting Crossroads some more. And today's episode I have two goals. Wow, I completely failed to land on that. My two goals are set up a system that takes the salt from down here up to the surface, and the other goal is to set up a machine to use the salt, well, it'll involve salt slightly, that to automate packed ice. So I've gone mining between episodes to help facilitate this plan, and hopefully we'll be able to get it done in the time I've allotted. So, step one, get the salt to the surface. And as someone who hates those dropper towers, because I don't know why, I just hate them. And slime block launchers, item launchers never seem to work quite perfectly. They always lose something, or they get stuck, and I added to Crossroads. This was in the initial release, so this isn't unique to the Magic Update. This has been in the whole time. Item chutes, which I made quite a few of. They're a bit heavy on the iron to make. Those are not iron blocks, those are iron chutes, safe for decoration. I decided to mention that. To get items up. So, let me demonstrate how these work, but first of all I need to get a little spot set up, so... Wait, let me out of my own water pool. And the floods of items. Magic will be involved in today's episode as well. Of course, there will be another magical effect used, and the salt can go. Salt can go back in. So I don't want to put the bottom bit of this machine on until everything's ready. But I'm going to need a pillar of these item chutes. Starting one block above where... Okay, so I put a pole... Let me just demonstrate then. This is what the simplest chute looks like. You insert items down here, and they pop out up here. And you can have a nice tall pillar of these item chute blocks. And these do need rotary power. Every item moved takes a little bit of rotary power from a gear on the side of the bottom item chute port. That's grammatically correct. So that's the plan, is for what I'm going to use. And it doesn't insert things directly into an inventory at the top, it literally drops them on the ground. So you're going to want a hopper to catch it or something. Now, interestingly enough, this is going to go through the middle of my enchanting room. Isn't much of an enchanting room, it's got two bookshelves. I'm going to need to move these bookshelves because they're now officially blocked to the table, but that's not really a problem. Okay, this could be mildly annoying. I'm going to need to move my door! That could be mildly annoying. And I'm going to want to get this nice and high up because I don't want to have to use a second one of these if items fall down enough. So this will be nice and high up. And for now, I'll put it facing this way. And I'll put a hopper here to catch items. And let me down. I don't remember why this is here. Wait, conditions. Oh. Fairly certain this is... Well, apparently my house has shrunk. No. Let me fix that. Well, now I've got this thing in the middle of everything, but it's fine. I could have coded absolutely any block to work for this. I could have made this item chute work with mossy cobblestone instead of using these special blocks. But I wanted to use those special blocks, just because. So now I'm going to hook up the bottom part of the port, or the bottom port, and items get piped into that gray side there, with the gray square. And do I have enough gears on me for this? I'm going to connect this to this system, just because that seems to make the most sense to me. Which is going to have to move. And hopefully this will... That moment when you're exactly one gear short. It's priceless, isn't it? Absolutely priceless. Ah, okay, everything seems to be connected. Oh, dear, direction conflict. My bad. That's not going to work. See, because I created a direction conflict by doing this. This whole system would have broken because of that. So that is not something I'm going to want to do, so I'm going to connect it like this. Okay, that should work fine. What I mean by direction conflict is if there's a gear on this side and on the top and this side, then, well, imagine you're using real-life gears. This gear would have had to have spun in both directions at once to please both of these gears. I don't know if you can visualize that or not, but basically it would have to do something that's physically impossible, which is clip through other gears. Well, that's impossible in real life, but possible in here, but I coded it so that can't happen. Alright, so this should be powered now. Items should be getting shot up. Yes, items are getting shot up through the hopper. It's not the fastest machine in the world, but in that, I mean, well, actually it is pretty fast. It's limited. Its rate is limited by, basically by how fast you can pipe items in, and after that one a tick. So it should be plopping out the top hopper, hopefully. Let me build some stairs. So the minor issue with this setup is quite simple. Now that it's dropping items, if this hopper fills up, it's going to keep spewing salt that's being produced up here, and it'll just land up here and despawn. Oh, I don't want to catch that. Put a torch up here. Iron golems keep spawning them. I keep killing them for iron, and then they keep spawning. Oh, let's check on the potato farm, by the way. And carrot farm. Salt supplies, doing well. I put 2 stacks in at the end of the last episode in each. The occasional item does get launched in the wrong spot, but it's fine, really. It's only the occasional. This thing produces enough. Okay, so getting items up here has been automated. Now I'm going to want packed dice, and the reason I want packed dice is, well, there's 3 ways to move items long distance in vanilla Minecraft, and those are basically the same 3 in Crossroads. Those are water streams, minecarts, and hopper chains. Those are the 3 most reasonable anyways. I suppose you could do weird stuff with other devices, but those are the 3 most common. Hopper chains and minecarts use quite a bit of iron, so I'm interested in using water pathways. And, well, to make those better, I want to use packed dice. So we're going to automate packed dice, which is very much doable in Crossroads. And the magic update's going to make it substantially simpler, so I don't have to use the salt ray, which was buffed in the magic update as well. Sleep. Well, let me demonstrate. Well, let me get ready to build this. First off, to do what I want to do to automate packed dice, I'm going to need a new element. As in new to this series. So far this series has only been shown 2 different elements, and those are stability and potential. I haven't actually scanned potential due to the way that works, but stability and potential. Well, there's a whole lot of different elements, compound ones. And the one I'm looking for is right around here, and that is expansion. What it basically does is it's a grow ray. And when I told my friends were asking me while I was coding the mod, so what do the different elements do? And I said, well, this is expansion, it's a grow ray. And I let them keep guessing as to what it did until I eventually told them. But it's called expansion, and it is a grow ray. And, well, the exact specifics of what a grow ray is in this case will be shown later. But anyways, to get that element, the way I want to do it requires stabilizers. A small quartz stabilizer, to be exact. And, well, as you'll notice, there's 2 recipes. You can use a crystal lenserite, which is very expensive, or it's much cheaper to use something called luminescent quartz, which you see doesn't have a recipe. I'll show you how to... So this is the recipe I'm going to use, and I'll show you how to make luminescent quartz. It is actually obtainable. The other thing I'm going to need is a beam splitter. And this does use lenserite and 2 pieces of luminescent quartz, so I am definitely going to need luminescent quartz. I'm going to... So today I'm going to be whipping up a new element. And this is a very simple one to obtain. It's light. So I'll bring the color chart with me, why not? So to make luminescent quartz, for now the setup's going to be manual. I might automate it at some point. But I only need a few pieces right now, and properly automating it will take quite a bit of luminescent quartz. So it has to be manual for now. So my setup's going to be pretty simple. A single arcane extractor, and I'll show you the new element. And let me get... I'll put this furnace... Now I get rid of it. And just so I don't accidentally do the effect where I don't want it, I'll put a dirt block here. This dirt block will make more sense in a minute. Alright, so I thought I had... Oh, I used up all my hoppers. Silly me. Basically, remember how I said there are 4 items that can be burned up in the Arcane Extractor to make magic, with all of them giving different mixtures of elements? One of them is glowstone dust. And it gives a very small beam, with only 3 magic, with a power of 3, actually. Which means if you sum up all the energy, potential, and stability in the beam, it adds up to 3. That's a very small beam, trust me. Considering salt gives a beam that's, what, like 50 power? Glowstone only gives 3. So what's interesting about it is it's exactly on the light element. Do you see that white beam? That pure white beam? I discovered light. 1 energy, 1 potential, and 1 stability, which has an RGB value of white. The light element is white. See? I've discovered it. So what I want to do is there's a special little trick. Well, the way you make luminescent quartz is... I need salt. Let me run up here and get some salt. Is actually pretty easy. I added the whole glowstone dust to light element directly thing, because of the fact that you're going to need luminescent... You need the light element you need the specific light element to get luminescent quartz. And you're going to need luminescent quartz to make the light element if you couldn't just burn up glowstone dust. So, this is just necessary. So what you do is you put some pure quartz into a lens holder, and you fire a beam of the light element through it. That's strange. Why did that not work? How very odd. Is there some sort of bug going on here? This normally works just fine. How very odd. Oh, let me demonstrate the effect of light, at least. It turns anything made of rock into glowstone. And when I say anything made of rock, that includes a furnace. Because I could. And it turns anything made of glass into a new block called glow glass, which is just a version of glass that emits light. And also you can break it and pick it up with your fist. So it's reflected. Now, what I need to work out is why is this not making luminescent quartz? It really should be. That is very odd. Something seems wrong here. Well, something is wrong here, in fact. Oh, great, I have to turn this out of my house into glowstone. Whoops. Oh, it's fine. Let me work out what's going on with this bug and be right back. I see what happened. It's not so much a bug as I accidentally left some code and I meant to remove. In the code, the lens holder is checking to make sure that the light beam has a power of at least 6. Remember, glowstone gives a power of 3. That's not right. I think I put that in when I was testing something or trying to rebalance things, and I forgot to take it out. So I need to remove that bit of code, recompile everything, and just launch it all again. So it's not so much a bug as me leaving something in I meant to take out. Let me fix that. Let's see, that should have fixed it, so let's just try now. Piece of glowstone dust, and boom, it's turned yellow. And this is why I should not be allowed to make textures, because, well, it's not a very appetizing color, is it? It really isn't. But now I can make luminescent quartz, pretty cheap as well. It's really not too bad. And, while I'm at it, I can make a profit of glowstone dust, because if I put a cobblestone behind this, then while I'm making the luminescent quartz, the beam passes through and makes glowstone. And it takes 1 dust to do this. See? So, why did I allow this to happen, this creation of glowstone very easily with this system? Well, the reason isn't too complicated, really. I wanted all 4 of the 4 things you can burn up in this machine to be fully automatable. Charcoal, salt, glowstone dust, redstone dust. All 4 of them are automatable. Charcoal, you can make a tree farm. Salt, you can make a water centrifuge. Glowstone dust, you can use the trick I just showed you with the light beam. And redstone dust involves another magical element, which is a little bit harder to obtain. than that. Simply putting redstone dust in the machine will not get you the element you need to make redstone dust. I'm just going to say that right now. But, so I want it to be fully automatable. So I want people to have to build a complicated setup so you can automate the stuff, the thing. The glowstone dust, that's the word. I'm just gonna fix this. Okay. So I can make myself some luminescent quartz now. That's good. That's all good and well. And if I wanted to, I could have put multiple lens holders in a row to make multiple luminescent quartz at a time. But I didn't. I'm not even going to bother placing that right now. Okay, so how much am I going to need? This should be enough for now. So, discovered the light element. That's all well and good. Now I'm going to need... What was it? I'm going insane. I think slowly going into small quartz stabilizers, and I'm going to need one of these. Just one. And I need a beam splitter, and that's going to need more pure quartz. So just to make that. Beam splitter achieved. I'm just realizing I'm missing 2 lens holders. Great job, Max. You forgot to make the lens holders. I need 2 more. Okay, we go downstairs and whip those up. Well, at this point, I've run another pipe through my house, and I'll explain why in a moment. My inventory's full of supplies, and I still probably haven't brought enough stuff with me. This pipe is carrying distilled water from the water centrifuge downstairs. So it's just bringing the distilled water up, and I'm going to be using it to make the packed ice. So I've got my fluid cooling chamber. This thing, as I said before, is overflowing with salt, as I had expected. And, well, we're just going to have to get to work. So the problem is, I haven't actually come up with a design for this. I just have a rough sketch in my head of how this is going to work and look. So there's quite a good chance this won't even slightly work. So this could take a few tries to get it working, but, well, I'm going to give it a shot. Let me get some more wood. I'm running out. Okay. These. Just don't have the inventory space for these. So I'm going to want to build my machine up close-ish to where the salt is coming out for reasons that will become apparent at some point. Can I get that comparator now? Oh, no, I need to dump more items. This is just a little bit ridiculous. Just a little bit. Okay, the comparator. So I'm not going to connect the salt machine up to the ice machine yet, but I will at some point. But I'm going to build it in a position where it'll be easy-ish to connect. So let me just think here. So that goes there. Then it was block, thing. Okay, so I've got a design for how this is all going to work, and I'll show it at some point. Okay, so it's going to be one of... Let's see, that is a reserve spot. I'm going to need to get lower. So that's a reserve spot. And that's a reserve spot. Okay. So basically, this bottom cobblestone block here is going to be where this is going to be a hopper that can feed salt to something. So that's going to be the input. Well, let me just start building and I'll come back. I'm also going to need another new block, which is the arcane reflector. I just thought I should mention that I'm going to need a couple of these. So I'll make some. Alright, so I've got the bit that makes the new element expansion working. This is quite a complicated looking machine, but it's not actually that bad. What makes it more complicated is the fact that all the blocks in the magic system currently have the same work in progress texture, which makes it a little hard to tell what's going on, which is why F3 exists. So we've got our extractor, and it's going into this beam splitter, which, as you might imagine, splits a beam. So it's a little more complex than just saying I put a beam in and it splits it into 2 beams that have half the power each, and one goes up and one goes down. It's a little more complicated than that. So a beam goes in the side, and it puts a beam up and a beam down of more or less the identical color. It tries its best, but top priority is not creating or destroying any magic in the rounding errors, so it doesn't do that. But so sometimes the colors aren't exactly the same. But the distribution of the power of the beam is controlled by the strength of the redstone signal it receives. So no redstone signal, the entire beam goes up. Level 15 redstone signal, the entire beam goes down. And it's all proportioned somewhat between it. So redstone strength of 7 or so would mean half up, half down, and so on. So this is just a rough little setup. Now, expansion is right in the middle here of potential and stability. This small little section. As you can see, that's another element. That does something else. This is expansion. And the current setup I have does not hit that one part potential, one part stability perfectly. It doesn't. And it would be, but there's a little, there's a room for error when making these elements. It's a big section, not a single point on the color chart. Now the thing is, I could very easily change the setup to be perfectly right in the middle. But and the way I would do that is by controlling the strength of the redstone signal. Because what's going on here is I'm splitting the beam. Half the beam is, well, part of the beam is going up here, and only stability is allowed to pass through. And it's the reflectors just send the beam, they just continue the path of the beam, they just keep re-aiming it. So this to this to this to this. And these air gaps aren't necessary, but I just want to be able to see the beams. So they get, now this is a stabilizer. It's a bit complicated, but it's how you turn a beam pulse into a continuous beam. If I put a strong beam into it, every so often it'll emit a continuous weaker beam of approximately the same color. But they don't work very well with mixes, and that's intentional. Intentionally coded, so they don't work so great when you have a mix. They work better with pure stability, or pure potential, or pure energy. So when you have a mix, they don't quite... It's not... the continuous beam might change color occasionally as it drains. And the large one and the small one store different amounts of magic, and they just... Well, you can read all about it in the guidebook. But it makes the pulse stable. And this reflector is where the two beams of stability and potential mix, because down here I've got the similar setup with an emerald to do this. So why does this work? If this beam is stability, why does it come out as potential? I mean, not potential, as expansion. Also, the reason it says potential right now involves the fact that when it's like the beam is cutting out, when the beam is turning off, it's sort of... Things don't drain evenly, basically. It's complicated, but while it is in progress, this is expansion. As I can demonstrate now, if I put several pieces of salt in, if I scan it while it's running, it's expand. Oh, I wasn't fast enough. More salt, and it's expansion. See? Oh, that is actually a perfect mix. Wow, that's ironic. So the reason this works is of the uneven splitting. You see, the original beam is more stability than potential, but it has both. So with a mathematically, they're connected by a mathematical relationship where if I say, okay, a larger chunk, I split the beam into two chunks of one, and I make one chunk into pure potential and one chunk into pure stability. If the beam I'm turning into, if the chunk that I'm turning into potential is bigger than the chunk I'm turning into stability, and I've calculated everything right, then I can redistribute the ratio, basically, and make it whatever I want between the two. So that's what I'm doing. It just so happens while testing this setup, I just picked a random redstone dust length, and it just so happens to hit it exactly. Now, what are the odds? I could have calculated it quite easily, but I didn't. So, just so happened to hit that point, which is nice. I probably could change it a little bit just to make it sure it's a little bit more on the dot, but it works. It definitely works. Okay, so I've got my expansion beam, and what does expansion do? Well, it's a growth ray. Not a plant grow ray, it's a block grow ray. Specifically, it has a range. Wherever the beam hits, it affects all dropped items within a range controlled by the power of the beam. So a beam with a power of 1 would have a 1 block range, and so on. So let me throw that cobble down there and give it a little salt. And suddenly that cobble item is turned into a block. Basically, it's expanding the item into a full block. And this works on any item blocks, which is a item that can be placed as a block. It doesn't work on things like potatoes, because in the code those aren't considered item blocks. They're just an item that places a block on a right click. It just so happens. It's complicated, but it works on several things, and it's quite fun if you throw a rail. It's very fun if you throw a rail item while a continuous beam of expansion is running, because it keeps placing the rail, and then it places it in midair, so it immediately pops off. And it pops off and gets launched upward when that happens, and then the item gets turned into a block again, and this keeps repeating it. It's flying in the sky until the beam turns off. It's amazing. I love it. I could have added code to make sure that doesn't happen, so it doesn't get placed if it will just pop off, but I didn't want to, because it's amazing. I love it. I really do. Okay, I'm blathering on. So I've got my expansion beam, which right now I'm not using. And how is this going to help me automate packed ice? Well, I forgot to craft one of the blocks I need. Hold on. The secret is this heat exchanger, combined with the fluid cooling chamber. Well, remember the fluid cooling chamber? We use it with the molten copper to cool it down into ingots. Well, if you put water in and get it cold enough, it'll make ice. And if you put distilled water in and get it cold enough, you get packed ice. And the insulated heat exchanger is how we're going to cool it. See, remember how we're using lava on this thing to make heat? Well, if we use something cold, like ice or packed ice, we'll cool it down. And packed ice is also more effective than normal ice for cooling. And it just so happens that, well, by just so happens I mean I did it intentionally, one piece of packed ice in this heat exchanger will cool it down more than enough for several pieces of packed ice, so at a profit. So the trick is placing down some of the packed ice we make, and that is what the expansion beam is for. We're going to drop it as an item, and it'll get placed. Simple as that. Okay, I'm jumping around like crazy. I don't know why I'm doing this. So let me set something up and be right back. Oh, by the way, part of the reason I'm building this so high up is because this beam has a range of 12 blocks because it's got a power of 12. I don't want that beam interfering with anything else, so I'm putting it high up where it can't damage anything or mess with anything. I mean, imagine if I put it next to the sheep, and every time I shear the sheep, the wool got placed. That would get annoying, quite annoying, because when I break the wool, it would turn into an item that might get placed again. Alright, let me keep building. I thought I'd show myself making some glow glass because I wanted some glass in the build, and I thought, why not make it glow? So, a little light beam into there, and glow glass. And I can just punch it and pick it up. And it emits light level 15. And it's glass. Just thought I'd show that. This should, in theory, work. If I remembered to hook up the last bit. Okay, I'm stupid. I'm officially stupid. This is an important bit I need to hook up here. Yeah, okay. Hold on, I'll be right back when I remember my brain. Okay, I'm carrying up the ladder stairs, the final piece, which is this wool copper heat cable. And by the way, I'm planning to switch these over to ice-insulated heat cables once I can afford that, as in I have ice. Now I've changed I'm going to change the recipe to use packed ice instead of normal ice, which is what I should have done from the beginning. I'll change that, and next time and between episodes I'll change that and then change these to ice, which will change this from a 6 long redstone line to a 13 long redstone line. Or alternately, I'll just use subtraction from the comparator. Whatever I do, I'll do it. And well, I think to jumpstart this thing I need to get it quite cold. And that's the problem. How do I jumpstart this thing? Oh, snow. Snow. I can jumpstart it with snow. I need to get it cold to jumpstart it, and once I jumpstart it, I'll show you how it works. Hold on. I'm running off to get snow from a mountain. I should have brought magenta bread with me. My bad. Yes, I'm flying home, because it's a test world, and even if it wasn't, I'm lazy. Says the person who built this overcomplicated contraption. Alright. So, oh, that block is unnecessary. Get rid of that. Now there's that block. The unnecessary blocks are annoying me, okay? So I should be salting that hopper. So I'm gonna need to, give this a redstone signal. And it's beaming. I need to jump. That was a bad idea. Oh dear, I see what happened. Yeah, beam's on. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so I need to, like, fill this thing up. Okay, oh dear. Oh no. I've made a terrible mistake. What temperature is this at? Is it cold enough? It's getting cold enough. Are we making ice? Get me out of here. This beam can be really annoying. Yes, we're making packed ice. Okay, I need to keep this fairly cold. I'll have to clean everything up once the beam is turned off. Okay, that's on, which means I need more snow in here. I'm not quite sure how to jumpstart this thing, so I'm just trying things until it works. Why is that still on? It should be cold enough. Oh, what temperature is it? Oh, I see. Snow can't get quite cold enough. Alright. Then my friend Mr. Packed Ice will have to do the job. Okay, that's very cold. That actually turns that off. Okay. So now whenever it gets to... Where's the glow glass gone? Oh, there. The beam's off now. Let me put this back so water doesn't spill everywhere. Let's see if we can watch this happen. What temperature did it have to get to? I wrote this down somewhere. Something like when it hits negative 30 degrees, or something like that, which is happening fairly quickly as it builds up ice. Yes, it's building ice. Aye, the beam's on. Aye. Then why did that not work? Okay, so something's wrong with this design here. See, that was supposed to fire. Can you not fire straight into water? That would ruin things. Let me test this. 21. Oh! That or it's being constantly powered. It might be being constantly powered. Hold on, let me see what I can do here. What? Look at that. I think that lever was in the wrong position. I'm not sure, though. Let me test this. Oh, now it's... yeah. I think the lever was in the wrong spot. Or possibly it was powering the... something was wrong with it. Not quite sure what. That still landed in there, didn't it? Yes, it did. Okay, let's see if this will work now. So if I put the... so the packed ice is in there. If I just flip this lever... oh, I need to put the lever back. That's fairly important. Fairly important thing there. Ah. Why is the beam not on? Oh, now we've run out of salt, haven't we? I get the feeling that while I was debugging this thing, it filled up. I used all the salt because it was on continuously, which it was not supposed to be. And I'm correct about that. So it got really... yeah. I need to jumpstart this thing properly. Okay, so it should still have salt, and it didn't stop because it ran out or anything. Good, it's still running. Yeah, I think I've got a working ice machine here. More or less working. I'm gonna have to put salt in it manually. Until I set that up with the ice, which will probably be next episode. It won't take too long. Well, I'm gonna end it there. Goodbye.